What's up guys, this is VinylicPuma, and today I'd like to go over some of what I think are among the best weapons available to the player in Far Cry 4. Now, before we start, this video is going to include weapons from not only the base version of Far Cry 4, but can also include weapons that are a part of Far Cry 4's Season Pass. In other words, I'm going to be going over all of the weapons that are available to the player in Far Cry 4's Gold Edition. I will also be trying to incorporate a variety of different weapons in this video based on several different characteristics like listed stats, what attachments the weapons might have, what the intended weapon's function is, and based on the weapon's type. But I guess without further ado, these will be the top 10 best guns and weapons for your loadouts in Far Cry 4, starting now. Number 10, the Signature Bull Shotgun. To be honest with you guys, it was a tough choice between the Bull and the Spaz 12 for best shotgun. After all, the Spaz 12 was an amazing weapon in Far Cry 3 and is still a pretty awesome weapon in Far Cry 4. However, I think you'll find that the Bull is ultimately superior because it has a suppressor this time around where it didn't in Far Cry 3. Plus, you may be interested to know that in terms of stats, the Bull is pretty evenly matched with, if not better than the Spaz 12. Both weapons have a capacity of 9 shells or so after upgrades, while the Bull actually comes out on top when it comes to damage and mobility. The only area where the Spaz 12 exceeds the Bull is when it comes to fire rate, which is really no surprise considering that the Spaz 12 is a semi-auto shotgun, while the Bull is a pump-action shotgun based on Far Cry 4's M133. Speaking of other shotguns, the only other shotgun that can come close to the Bull is the Signature 87, which is a sidearm version of the 1887. The 87 can match the Bull's damage, but I think you'll find that its reduced range, lack of accuracy, and also a lack of suppressor don't really make it worth it. If you want the Bull, all you need to do is complete 2 bomb defusal side quests, meaning that you should be able to get this weapon as early as Southern Kirat. Number 9, the Signature Elephant Gun. So, the Elephant Gun is a signature version of the 700 Nitro that is unlocked with Far Cry 4's Season Pass. When it comes to both the 700 Nitro and the Elephant Gun, the 700 Nitro actually tends to be a little bit more balanced overall and is customizable, while the Elephant Gun is capable of dealing more damage per shot. So I would say if you don't have the Season Pass, you could just use the 700 Nitro and still be very effective. The reason I'm including the Elephant Gun here though is because it's an excellent alternative weapon for hunting. While the recurve bow will be more practical in most situations, the Elephant Gun is extremely useful for taking down some of the tougher animals like leopards, tigers, bears, and especially those pesky rhinos. Assuming you're able to perform a headshot with the Elephant Gun on these enemies, you can pretty much one-shot them with relatively minimal effort on your part. Plus, you may find that the Elephant Gun is great for other animals as well, especially up against honey badgers that are seemingly impossible to kill. If you want a great weapon for hunting, go with either the Signature Elephant Gun or the 700 Nitro, as I don't think you'll be disappointed with either weapon. Number 8. The Signature Warrior Assault Rifle. While the Warrior is by no means the best assault rifle in Far Cry 4, I think the weapon is so exceptionally good early on that you really can't afford to pass it up. As I'm sure you can tell, the Warrior is a signature version of Far Cry 4's standard AK-47 assault rifle that has been significantly enhanced in a number of different areas. Stat-wise, the Warrior has superior accuracy, damage, and mobility when compared to the standard AK-47, and perhaps most importantly, it comes with a number of awesome attachments. For example, you get a weapon sight, an extended magazine that increases the magazine size to 40, and perhaps best of all, a suppressor. The addition of this suppressor makes this gun amazing early on because of its superior stats and the fact that most other assault rifles are either automatic and can't have a suppressor, or they can have a suppressor but they unfortunately aren't automatic. What's also pretty incredible is how easy it is to acquire this weapon. All you have to do is hijack 2 Royal Army cargo trucks and all of a sudden you have this awesome assault rifle to use early on in the game. So I would say if you're looking for the best assault rifle early on, the Warrior is definitely the gun that you're going to want. Number 7, the signature Shredder SMG. So the Shredder SMG is a returning signature weapon from Far Cry 3, and like the Far Cry 3 version, the Shredder is based on the Vector 45 ACP. However, unlike the Vector, which is capable of improved accuracy, the Shredder tends to deal much better damage and in general is a lot more balanced. In fact, I would go as far to say that the damage increase is pretty significant, as the Shredder is capable of higher damage output than the BZ-19, which is arguably the best non-signature SMG in Far Cry 4. The Shredder is also better than all of the other signature SMGs available in Far Cry 4 in pretty much every area. With that said, I suppose the Stinger SMG is a sidearm and thus it can be used while operating vehicles. However, I would say that in every other scenario, that the Shredder is a far superior choice. What's also nice about the Shredder is that like its Far Cry 3 counterparts, it can be acquired relatively early. All you have to do is reach a Karma level of 6, which may sound somewhat daunting at first, but is actually pretty easy to do provided you take the time to do Karma events and hunt most wildlife with a recurve bow. If you're looking for the best SMG in the game, I think the Shredder is the best one available. Number 6, the Autocross Sidearm. While the recurve bow is pretty powerful in Far Cry 4, I ultimately found that I didn't use it as much as I did in Far Cry 3 once I had access to many of this game's other weapons. However, I do find myself occasionally using the Autocross, which is a miniature crossbow that can be used as a sidearm. Like the recurve bow, the Autocross is an awesome weapon for stealth that has retrievable ammunition. Most body shots will one-shot weaker enemies, while a well-placed headshot will easily allow you to take out some of the tougher enemies that would normally take 2 shots. Unlike the recurve bow though, the Autocross is capable of a much higher fire rate, allowing the player to get multiple shots off in relatively quick succession. If you want an Autocross, you can buy one after completing the City of Pain mission, or you can pick one up during the Don't Look Down mission while you're escaping the prison. Number 5, the M79 Sidearm. So, Far Cry 4 has 3 different grenade launchers, and of the 3, I think the M79 is quite possibly the best one available. This isn't necessarily because the other grenade launchers, like the GL94 or the GLA87, are bad, but it mostly comes down to the fact that the M79 is a sidearm and thus it can be fired from vehicles. In fact, the ability to fire this high damage grenade projectile from a vehicle is insanely useful. For example, if you're flying the buzzer, you can whip out the grenade launcher to quickly pepper enemies with grenades from the air. Or if you're driving a more conventional vehicle, you can quickly take out weaker enemies without the precision that's needed with most of the other sidearms. Otherwise, there's not a whole lot else to the M79 grenade launcher. If you would like one, you can get one as soon as you reach your first trading post. Number 4, the SA-50 Sniper Rifle. In my personal opinion, the SA-50 is easily the best sniper rifle in the game. While the AMR is capable of increased damage per shot, the major thing that the SA-50 has going for it is that it is a high-powered semi-automatic sniper rifle which allows you to fire high-damage rounds really fast, especially when compared to other sniper rifles like the AMR or a suppressed Z93. What's also nice about the SA-50, especially when compared to the AMR, is that it's customizable. So not only do you get a high-powered sniper with high fire rates, but you're also getting the option to add a suppressor, a new scope, and an extended magazine. My only complaint is that the SA-50 is acquired much later on in the game. In an attempt to not spoil too much, all I will say is that it can be purchased after completing a main quest mission called Payback, which isn't available until after you've unlocked Northern Kyrat and potentially liberated a significant part of Northern Kyrat. Even still, I think you'll find that the SA-50 is by far the most practical sniper rifle in Far Cry 4, surpassing weapons like the AMR or suppressed Z93. Number 3, the signature Bushman assault rifle. There's a pretty good chance that if you've played Far Cry 3 that you're familiar with the Bushmen. Obviously, that weapon returns in Far Cry 4, and just like the last game, it is definitely the best and most balanced out of all of the assault rifles, combining excellent damage output with great range, accuracy, and fire rates. Plus, the Bushman is suppressed, making it far better than the P416 assault rifle that it's based on. Now, you may be surprised to know that the Bushman isn't necessarily the most powerful assault rifle in the game, which is a spot that's ultimately taken by Far Cry 4's A52, which is pretty much the same gun as Far Cry 3's Ace. However, while the A52 does sport increased damage, it's lacking in pretty much every other area, and the player can't equip a suppressor to it. Plus, the A52 isn't acquired until much later on in the game, where the Bushman could feasibly acquire it as soon as you have access to the Shanath Arena in southern Kyrat. Speaking of the arena, the only downside to the Bushman is acquiring it. As the game states, you'll need to achieve rank 10 in the arena, which can admittedly be a bit of a slog. However, if you play community-made arena challenges, or you have access to the Arena Master app, you may find that reaching rank 10 isn't nearly as difficult. But again, if you're looking for Far Cry 4's best assault rifle, the Bushman, in my opinion, is the best one available. Number 2. The LK-1018 Rocket Launcher. Without a doubt, the LK-1018 is the game's best rocket launcher, totally blowing the RPG-7 out of the water. Not only does the LK-1018 have the ability to have the rockets home in on enemies, but if you have the LCAM sight attachment for it, it turns into this incredibly powerful cluster bomb weapon of death. In a certain sense, you could think of the LK-1018 as a sort of portable version of the cluster bomb mortar emplacements that you can occasionally come across at outposts. However, you have the ability to lock onto enemies, thus greatly increasing your accuracy. As you can imagine, the LCAM-equipped LK-1018 is insanely powerful and will easily take care of most ground vehicles and units with a single shot. Plus, the blast radius is pretty huge, and I could definitely see the player being able to take out outposts with a couple of well-placed shots. If you would like this weapon, it's obtained later on in the game after you've completed all 4 of Longinus's side quest missions. While you will need to have access to Northern Kyrat, it's definitely worth taking the time to acquire this weapon, as it is insanely powerful. Number 1. The Signature Buzzsaw LMG. I would say that for most people, the Buzzsaw is really the only LMG-type weapon in Far Cry 4 that's worth your time. While there are several other regular and signature LMGs available, many of these weapons aren't really worth using, or they're kind of obscure to acquire. In case you're curious, the Buzzsaw is based on Far Cry 4's MG42. However, unlike the MG42, it has roughly double the magazine size and has superior stats in pretty much every area, with the exception of range. The only time the MG42 has better range, though, is provided that you have the marksman sight equipped, and even then, you'll find that the Buzzsaw is still superior in pretty much every other area. The Buzzsaw is so strong that most enemies and vehicles can't stand up to its sheer power. Heavy enemies wielding flamethrowers or LMGs just melt, and you may also find that the Buzzsaw is quite effective for taking down helicopters as well. In fact, the game becomes really easy once you have this weapon, so you may want to avoid it if you're looking for a challenge. Still, if you want the Buzzsaw, all you have to do is liberate all 17 of the bell towers in both southern and northern Kyrat. While this means that you will have to wait a long time before acquiring this weapon, I can assure you that it is well worth the wait. Alright guys, I think that's going to pretty much wrap up this particular video. If you liked this video, feel free to leave a like. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, take care, and I'll see y'all next time.